Welcome back to Restaurant Review. I'm your host, Bob Bockelman, and we want to wish you welcome to our second show this year. As you know, we all have been off because of Katrina, so this is our second show post-Katrina. We hope you caught our first one, and you probably will. As a point of reference, our station suffered some damage, not only physically, but also in maintaining staff and getting staff back. As we all know, those problems that our business community faces post-Katrina. So presently, we're not doing our live shows. We're broadcasting same time, but we're all vying for limited studio space. So we do a tape show for you now, and because of that, we won't be able to show as many shows every week. So some of these will be repeated several times before we get back to our regular schedule. But we're hoping sometime in June or July that we'll have a little more time, more studio space, so we can bring you a lot more of the restaurants. As if you did see the first restaurant show last week, we did have tell you about between 16 and 20 new restaurants have already opened post-Katrina, and more keep opening all the time. In fact, one scheduled for the beginning of June. A good friend of ours at Rio Mar, who's been on our show, Chef Adolfo, is opening his new Argentinian steakhouse, which is really going to be very interesting. Anyway, enough about that. As we mentioned, still watch our shows on Saturdays from 3 to 4, and any of the repeats, you can still reach us through the same sources, through the email, phone numbers, addresses, for suggestions on getting us musicians. You know, we're gotten hard trying to find a lot of our musicians back in the city. And so the more you can refer to us, we've got a good retinue of restaurants, but any young aspiring or old aspiring musician would certainly be welcome on our show. Please contact us to help us fill that void. Also, the restaurant last week had a fabulous duo called Julio and CESAR. We went to their grand opening last week as well following the show, and they were very, very well received. They've been on a lot of the local Spanish channels and really are a hot commodity today. So what we decided to do, because of the nature of today's restaurant, that it would be good to ask Julio and Cesar back. Unfortunately, they were out of town today of the filming, but they did allow us to repeat use of their songs from last week. So if you didn't see that, you're in a real treat to see them again. But if you did, hopefully you enjoyed them so much you'll be pleased at the return. So before we actually start in the restaurant, let's go ahead and take a listen. The group is called Julio and CESAR, and their CD has also announced that. They also have their own website where you can find out more information about their appearances and also any of the merchandising. So let's see what Julio and CESAR are going to do for our first song today. those are the brothers Julio and Cesar, and they can really run those strings, huh? But stick around because I know one of their songs, I think it's the second one, there's some vocals attached as well. So I'm telling you, they really are a delight to hear. Great couple of guys, and well worth your patronizing either their appearances or if you have a chance to get them on CD, because it's a great sound and always got to make you jump and move. Okay, as we mentioned, not only because they were so popular, but also the nature of our restaurant today just begged for a talent like Julio and Cesar, and that is a restaurant that involves both Spanish and Mexican cuisine. And you know, we have a lot of Tex-Mex, but very few authentic restaurants that involve Mexican and Spanish food here in the city. So we're really pleased this restaurant is open. It's in the Carrollton area. In fact, it's located on Carrollton itself, and right in one of the restaurants used to be called the Lebanon Cafe that became so successful they moved next door to the larger place. And we also have interviewed one of the other restaurants that were in the site. So we're really glad it's reoccupied now, and it's a pleasure to introduce the executive and chef and owner of Fiesta Bistro, Chef MANNY FIDUL. I knew I was going to mess it up. I asked Chef about it to correct me, and sure enough, Chef MANNY FIDUL. Welcome to Restaurant Review.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your background, Mandy, so people can realize how authentic your food is.
I'm from Algeria. I came here in 1997, but I grew up in Italy, mostly in Italy, but I've been around in Europe, France, Spain, all over almost. I came here, I started working in different restaurants in New Orleans, and then I moved to New York for like almost a couple years. I worked in very famous restaurants over there. I've been trained with good chefs and everything. And then I came back here. I started working for another different restaurants, and then I moved again to Montreal.
To Montreal?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. Boy, that must have been nice. Cold, but nice. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But
very large, very metropolitan.
Yeah. I moved there for 3 years.
And that's where you're coming directly from Montreal?
I came here like 2 months ago. Yeah.
And how did you decide to come back to us?
I came back for open restaurant.
Very good. Yeah. Well, this is the perfect time. People thought we never would open our restaurants again, but as I mentioned, our guest list is 12, 15, 20 restaurants waiting to come on the show, so we're constantly opening new ones. So we certainly have rebirth, and this is certainly the capital of cuisine now here in the United States. All right, tell us a little more specifics about your restaurant, and as we mentioned, you're on South Carrollton, right? Hopefully the streetcar is going to get more frequent for you, but it's right off the corner of Jeanette. It's right next door to Lebanon Cafe, which is on the corner. So very easy to find, like I say, on the streetcar or the bus end or the bus route at the present time. But tell them how accommodating you are, how many days you're open, your hours. Let's go a little bit about that.
Open 7 days a week, Monday to Saturday from 11 to 11, 12 hours, and Sunday from 12 to 10.
Well, folks, did you hear that? 11 to 11 and 12 to 10 on Sundays. Do you know how important that is in today's New Orleans cuisine society? Because, as you all know, just a year ago, we thought nothing of going to a restaurant at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, after an event, and we're open to 12 o'clock. Never thought anything about having a late dinner. That was some of the Spanish in us having that late. But post-Katrina, because of the shortness of staff, all the other requirements, we now have modified our habits and sometimes go to restaurants as early as 5:30 when they're knocking down the door, and most of those restaurants are closing at 8 or 9. So I asked Chef to make sure when he had those hours that he was going to be able to live up to those for quite some time, because that is very important to us, because there's so few restaurants that are open late today, and you get turned away because the crowds are so big. So this is really great news. So 6 days of the week, you can eat as late as 10 o'clock, almost 11 o'clock at night, and on Sunday to 10. Plus open all the way through for us late lunches. Couldn't be a better deal. Now, about how large is the restaurant? It's a rectangle. What's really neat, and we're going to see some of the pictures, hopefully, of the restaurant itself. There you see they've got a beautiful banquette along one wall. It's got wonderful plush cushions to sit on, really comfortable. They've got regular chair seating, which you're taking a look at now. They even have a magnificent, that's looking toward the bar and some of the individual tables. But really it's funny, they set up which is really great. Next door, right out on the street, some great parasol umbrellas would stand. So there you go. Look how pretty that is. What a prettier thing to see. Carrollton Avenue, with all the walkers. We could not believe how many walkers pass by, as well as the streetcar and the homes that are coming back. So even though it's getting a little warm, we understand that. Still, you've got that great, while you can enjoy it a nice, pleasant afternoon or evening, sit outside as well. So about how many do you seat altogether, Chef?
About 70.
70?
Yeah.
Wow, that's much. It's deceptive because of the arrangement. It doesn't look like it's that large, but because it's got that magnificent banquet seating and another long center table, I can imagine where you can seat. So it's really great. It's a comfortable environment. He's got a great staff going, and what's more importantly is we're getting ready to tell you about the food he's going to deliver. I overheard several diners next to us saying, how can this be so authentic? And so that is the key, folks. It's not Tex-Mex, it is real authentic Spanish food. And what better way to introduce one of the things in New Orleans that we really only have a few restaurants, and that's tapas. So instead of having appetizers per se, he has a long list of tapas that you can serve as appetizers, or many times I'll feel like just going and graze through the tapas, and that's your whole meal. And you can, of course, it's fun food, tapas, because you can share it with your diners. Everyone can get a taste for it. Let's talk about, obviously, I think the first one we have is really impressive. In the old days, tapas restaurants were really bars here, and the only thing you could get were olive trays or cheese trays. Yeah. And that is okay when you're just drinking and not really worrying about eating. But if you really want to make a meal off of tapas or have it as an appetizer, you want a little more variety. But we had to start off, he has those traditional cheese samplers, if you like, but he took the creme de la creme. He took manchego cheese and flambéed it. Tell us a little bit. Hopefully that's our first picture coming up. And we're going to show you exactly what. Tell us. Yeah, I put them in the wrong order. Excuse me, folks. This is actually the traditional olives. Is that right? We've got some. Yes. Tell us about the varied types of olives and wonderful oils and bread that it's served on.
Green Spanish olives mixed with fresh herbs, garlic, rosemary, thyme, and seeds like fennel, cumin seeds, and star anise. All ground in the restaurants, fresh made and mixed with sun-dried tomatoes and artichokes.
And artichokes, that's what I love the flavor. And this magnificent oil.
And they had also capers berries.
A little saltiness. Well, I don't say it lost it because, olives by themselves are pretty salty, but it just keeps up with that tradition. And of course, it's cute, the cute little French baguette there. It's sliced in a little piece, so it's perfect for just dipping, you just keep dipping and dipping, so really, really well done. So there, if you want to start off the traditional way, taste his olives, nice salt to it, really, really good quality. But let's see if we can take, now I can see he has a cheese sampler. We're not presenting that. Instead, we took the flambéed manchego cheese, which is, like I say, the top of the line in Spanish cheese. Let's see if we can see the manchego flambéed dish, and we'll talk about that in detail. Okay? Oh, no. Having a little trouble there. Hopefully, folks, now we moved into the soup. No, it's the one with the brown handles serve. It comes out hot and flambéed. There's a little, look, it comes out in that griddle hot. I don't think you can see the flame on this right now, but a huge piece of magnificent manchego cheese, and it's flambéed in tequila. We have another angle as well. Maybe you can, it's hard to see the fire. But tell us about it, Chef, because this was truly, truly good.
This manchego dish is kind of like flambé, but fondue in the same time, because we serve it with a piece of bread,
right,
and then saute first in butter and then fresh cracked pepper and flambe it in the table. So that's why people eat it with bread as fondue. And
that's fondue, similar to fondue.
Yeah,
really great, folks. But beautifully presented. The only thing is you got to watch that hot skillet. But beautifully presented with the flame coming up and right at your table with tequila. So you couldn't get a better kick to moisten and to soften that cheese. Okay, now, so it won't be looking just like a vegetarian's paradise. We have one of my favorites, and that's carpaccio. So here's your beef, but boy, I talk about, let's see if we take a look and tell us about this carpaccio. Look at how pretty this dish is, folks.
Sliced raw filet mignon, very, very tender.
Can't get better than filet mignon. Paper thin.
Yeah, paper thin, freshly sliced, served with capers berries, reduction of balsamic vinegar, Spanish olive oil, black pepper, salt, and is usually served in Italy at the restaurant as like a big appetizer, big portion. But I make it smaller to include it in tapas, small portion
Exactly.
for tapas.
But still, it's great for two. And as you notice, it looks like a magnificent, like a hibiscus flower or a pinwheel. Just a beautiful presentation. And again, the beef is so tender because it's so paper thin. It just melts in your mouth. So truly great. Okay, now even though we might have 10 or 12 appetizers or tapas on the appetizer thing, we're going to touch one more. And that's going to be clams. You marinate those clams. Let's see, take a look at those. Tell us what you marinate the clams in.
No, the clams are sautéed. This dish is very Catalan. It's from Spain, Barcelona.
Oh, yes.
Cherry stone clams sauté in white wine, garlic, olive oil, and they got opened in their own juices with pine nuts, sun-dried tomatoes, and garlic.
And what's really great about a lot of the dishes you're hearing are nuts, different flavors of nuts. And you'll see even more in the entree. One of the nuts I never see in any dish is hazelnut. But pine nuts are often used in Italian cooking. You've heard some of the other nuts that they've shaved. So they really have, and a lot of even though it's not Arabic food, a lot of the Arabic food have the nuts. And so Europeans use it as well. We not so much, very rarely, maybe in a salad or two, but don't standardly put it in our entrees or our appetizers. So it gives a good crunch, good flavor, and a great looking look to a lot of these dishes. So definitely you want to try some of these. Now as I mentioned, we have a bunch of tapas, but we want to go ahead and start with the main part of the menu so you can see all the variety, because not everybody eats just appetizers. So he does have two great soups, folks, here, and so we're featuring both of those today. And I think the very first one is his chicken tortilla. Now we know about this from a lot of restaurants, but this is so good from the spice level and the look of it, tender and consistent, but really a great spice level. Tell us about your chicken tortilla soup.
My chicken tortilla soup is, I add a little bit of smoked chipotle to give...
chipotle, no wonder.
To give like the smoke flavor and the spiciness to it. And I finish it with a lot of cilantro, fresh cilantro.
Can't beat that for any, and that's definitely a Spanish and a Jamaican or Caribbean herb, but used so well, and especially in some of these foods. Tell them if you had chicken tortilla somewhere else, try it here, you're going to swear by it because of that spice level. Now the other one, which you don't see a lot, but you hear a lot about it, is gazpacho, which is a cold, perfect for this time of the year soup. And one of the most unique things, besides the flavor, for those that don't, it's almost like a combination of each. But if you're not familiar with the flavor, which really to keep it cool, very unique, and this is the level of detail that this chef pays attention to, is actually a series of stacks of ice cubes in the soup to keep it cool. It looks like a great physical presentation, but also serves a purpose. So let's take a look at this gazpacho and tell us all the traditional ingredients. You can see that little ice cubes sticking out of the plate there, the bowl.
This gazpacho soup, Andalusian style from Andalusia. I give the kick with some cayenne pepper.
Cayenne?
Yeah, cayenne pepper,
right.
and red wine vinegar. And it's very, very cold and
chilled. For those
chilled.
that don't know, usually that's a tomato base, but tell them about all the fresh ingredients that are in there, because someone who's not had gazpacho is going to think it's just tomato soup or tomato juice. It's not at all.
A lot of vegetables.
Tell us about all of that, because it's truly a delight.
It's cucumber, red onions, bell pepper, yellow pepper, and croutons.
Croutons or croquettes.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, but chilled to just perfection. In the old days, when I drank, I used to put gin in this, and I had my beverage and my soup and my juice, so it was a whole meal. But nowadays, we eat it plain and pure and enjoy it a lot more. Okay, those are all of his two soups. He doesn't have more than those, but you couldn't get better two soups. I always have to have the soup lump, so I drink both of them every meal. The other thing, salads. He's got a nice combination, maybe about 5 salads. We only had room to pick out one. Tell us about the one that we're looking at today, please.
Salad frutas secas. We got good response with this salad from the combination of the sweetness of
Secas, for those who don't know Spanish or French, is dried.
Yeah, dry.
So we got the dried fruits.
Dry fruit.
And that's what that lovely orange color is. Tell us what those are.
The apricot.
Apricots. There you go.
Apricot. Yeah.
Something you don't see. Most of the time you're going to see little orange slices. Think it's mandarin oranges. Absolutely not. Fresh apricots, really dried, delicious. Tell us more about the great ingredients here.
And then when you go to the goat cheese crisp. The goat cheese crisp from
Feta
outside.
cheese?
No, it's goat cheese.
Oh, goat cheese. Okay.
Yeah, goat cheese mixed with herbs. When you go for outside, it's crunchy, inside it's very melty and salted a little bit. And
for people looking on the plate, well, where is that? If you notice on the left side of the plate, a ball.
Yeah.
In fact, do you have it as appetizers too?
I have it as tapas too.
As tapas, fried goat cheese balls, I believe you call it.
Yeah.
In other words, the goat cheese is melted on the inside, fried on the outside. When you bite into it, you get that ooze and that taste.
Yeah.
And that salt just really overemphasizes the salad. So there's a couple of those in there. Like I say, the only one I see visible is there to the left center of your plate there. The other orange slices are actually, what are we talking about, the apricots. But again, wonderful fresh fruits and really good taste. So, and again, that's only one of about 5 salads. So if you're a salad nut, and of course right now in the summer, a lot of people are just eating, especially nothing like having gazpacho and a nice salad. This will be a great lunch, folks, not only for the ladies, but the guys too, because it's not heavy, but nice and cool and refreshing. Now let's take a look at some of the entrees, because got a really nice selection of entrees. We've tried to mix it up for you. We have to start with the traditional, because we don't have enough of this. It's a homemade dish, just like New Orleans famous for its jambalaya. The true Spain is famous for its paella. So, and of course, seafood paella is the predominant one. Look at the color on that saffron rice. Tell us about all the magnificent ingredients in your paella, please, Chef Bundy.
In this paella, we have fresh seafood. That's the secret. We have cherry stone clams, sea scallops, shrimp with the head on and everything, and mussels, chicken, calamari, and made by order.
Absolutely beautiful. And we're going to... What's really nice here is you have just every now. You don't use, some people, just like in our jambalayas, will mix seafood and meat. But here, this is truly a seafood jambalaya. I mean, a paella, excuse me. In fact, that's where the difference is. In New Orleans and the French country, they'll get tired and put the two things together. But really, just like you can have a meat jambalaya and a seafood jambalaya, that's the way it stays and that's the way it should be. All seafood in the paella and all meat if you do it. Now, he doesn't do a meat paella right now, is that right? No. But the seafood one, which of course is our favorite here locally, is something you really want to taste. Really, really authentic. Saffron rice is just one of the best 2 ingredients putting the rice together. Okay, now we want to look at at least another meat and another fish dish. I think we have is it the chicken dish? Let's see, we have the chicken dish or the red snap. I think it's the chicken, huh?
That's the red snap.
Red snap. I knew I'd get it wrong. This is a fantastic piece of red snap, and you can hardly see the rice peeking out. I thought we had done a couple of pictures. Maybe we have. I have not. Delicious. Tell us about this dish, sir.
This I like to keep the fish simple. I don't want to add a lot of flavors in it. The sauce is very simple. It's tomato, onions, and garlic, Provençal sauce, and orzo mirepoix. Little pasta mixed with carrots, celery, and onions, and piece of lemon.
Okay, well we're gonna let's talk a little bit more about this dish, because again, orzo, hopefully everyone understood, Chef, is not rice. It looks like rice in this dish. I made the mistake of saying it before I tasted it, but it's actually pasta. I believe it's like elliptical shapes, shape of which is almost like a rice, but it puffs up, so it gets a little puffy flavor, almost like Quaker oats, really. It's similar to that. Yeah. Then again, you put saffron in it to give it the no. So it's a natural color like that.
Natural color.
Oh, you see, I thought that was saffron because it's so much like the saffron.
No, you get some color from the celery.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And so celery, and what is the red? Is it pimentos?
Mirepoix, celery, carrots, and onions.
Celery, carrots, and onions, and how is it steamed or how is the rest?
No, it's boiled in water like a pasta.
Right.
And then you chill it in water, and then you mix your mirepoix, you mix it together. Okay. Olive oil and lemon juice.
Excellent. Now let's talk about the fish a little bit more, because it was a beautiful fillet of, a lovely cut of red snapper, which is my favorite fish. But let's talk about and what did you do with that? Is that cooked separately from the sauce or together?
No, cook first, and then we cook it with sauce.
So you saute it, or what do you do? Saute it in oil, or?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. And then let's talk about the sauce itself again, a little bit more descriptive, please. It's tomato based, obviously.
No, it's homemade marinara sauce.
Oh, it's homemade marinara.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. But what is it? Olives? What are the fabulous?
No, it's garlic, onions, parsley, and white wine.
But I see the black things in there. I can't remember the taste of it. I did eat it, Al, and I can't remember. I thought, sure, see the coloration. None of that is mushrooms or anything?
No, nothing.
No?
No.
But all right, you won't tell me what that is. Okay, so.
It's parsley.
Parsley.
Yeah.
Oh, that's parsley.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My eyes are bad. I can see parsley on top of the fish, but I didn't think that was cooked. Obviously, it's in the sauce as well.
In the sauce, yeah.
Truly, truly great. Still very, very light, not a heavy sauce. But that also is really phenomenal. And, of course, red snapper, like I say, to me is the best fish. So we got a wonderful, great summer, either lunch or dinner there. All right, now we're going to show one more entree, and then we'll talk about a few more before we go back to our musicians. So we've had already a seafood dish, a fabulous paella we just spoke about. Just took a look at even another our specialty red snapper. Now let's take a look at the chicken dish. I know you have a chicken. What do you call it again?
Fricando. Chicken fricando.
Fricando. Okay. And here, folks, is something that is definitely Italian. Italian food. One of the basically a peasant food. Just like we eat our grits, is polenta. And I know it's getting more and more popular over the last maybe 10 years. But one of the best ways to cook polenta is to grill it like this. And I think he's going to tell us about it with a beautiful half of a chicken breast and gravy. And the sauce was just divine. It had a sweetness from one of the terry and nuts in here too. So this is really so dramatic in the sense of his cooking. Let's talk about the chicken first, and then we'll talk about the polenta. What do we do with the chicken?
Chicken breast saute in a pan, finished in the oven.
Okay.
Deglaze the pan with hazelnut and butter.
Did you hear that, folks? Hazelnut. Was it the whole? This one had the whole hazelnut.
Yeah,
this was so cool because it got so darker in the gravy. Didn't know what it was. Yeah, I didn't. I guess I didn't read the ingredients that well. But then bit into it. I said, "Oh, more hazelnuts."
Yeah.
So we had a couple other dishes with the shavings, true whole nuts, which is of course such a beautiful shape. If you've ever seen a little heart shape of a hazelnut, delicious. All right, so we got hazelnuts. What else we got going on in there?
Cherry wine.
The wine?
Yeah.
What type of cherry wine?
Cherry wine, yes.
Okay, that gives that sweetness to it.
Yeah.
And what else?
Half glaze.
Okay. And then you cook that all down, right?
That's make the sauce. You reduce it to half, and you have your sauce ready.
Okay, and then you decided to come in with polenta, right?
Polenta.
Tell us about your polenta. It's just really delicious.
The polenta,
eaten alone, or especially with this particular dish.
The polenta is already.
For people who don't know what polenta is, why don't we tell them what it is?
Is corn flour, and I mix it with the whole corn.
Okay.
Pieces of corn, and I cook it together.
So new rib.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is really what makes it impressive.
Yeah, and I add to it cream to give richness and some Parmesan cheese. When it's chilled overnight, and I cut it and I grill it by order.
Okay, but then do you grill it?
Yep.
Yeah, because you can see the grill. That's what's so neat, because a lot of folks don't. They'll cook it, in regular in the oven or on top of the oven, which is still very good. But the taste here of grilling the polenta, really, and then a little piece of, was that rosemary sticking in there? Beautifully presented, folks. And again, very, very typical of the tradition here at the restaurant. Now let's talk about a couple more of the entrees. We don't have pictures before we go back to the musician, because we really want to give a sample. At lunchtime, do you have, this is the same menu, lunch and dinner, or is it?
Same menu, yeah.
Okay. Did you have other things besides the plates? Did you have, I know you had some type of...
We have the whole selection of Mexican food.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that for people to know, since we didn't try any of that other than the tapas.
Yeah, we have we have tacos.
Tacos?
We have tacos, fajitas.
Okay, you do the standard.
Quesadillas.
Any special tacos that you do?
Yeah, we have our flank steak marinated in tequila.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you doing
Very
the
thin.
Are you doing the hard shell taco or the soft taco?
Soft.
Soft.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're taking flank steak thin, just like you do almost a carpaccio, not that thin.
Very, very thin.
Very
not
thin.
that thin, but thin.
And you flambe it in tequila.
No, marinated in tequila, then grilled.
And grill. Wow, that is great.
Yeah.
Any other one that's really significant for us?
We have seasonal vegetables, all grilled mixed vegetables, broccoli, artichokes, zucchini.
Okay, now your tacos, is it sold, are they individually or is it a grouping of tacos? How do you?
As you like it, as you like it.
Okay.
You choose mix between vegetables and shrimps
No, but I'm
and
saying,
steak.
is it you buy one or is it more than one individually?
Two and up.
Two
Yeah.
is a serving?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And can you mix with that in there
Yeah,
too?
you mix as you like.
Excellent. That's the
Yeah.
key, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Now, besides tacos, what are some of the other Mexican dishes you do?
We have quesadillas too.
Quesadillas, okay. Anything about those?
And fajitas.
And fajitas. Fajitas too.
Yeah.
Anything particular about the quesadilla or the fajita?
The quesadilla is, we have a lot of choices. We have veggie, chicken, meat, and shrimp.
Okay.
And all quesadillas are mixed with cheese and a homemade sauce, like roasted salsa.
Roasted salsa?
Yeah, roasted
Wow.
gives a lot of flavor to it. Then grilled.
Okay. And how about, and what was the other one we had besides quesadillas? Anything else?
That's
Fajitas.
Fajitas.
And the fajitas give you typical steak fajitas or
No, we
chicken?
use the flank.
Flank steak
Yeah,
again?
flank steak and,
And what-
chicken,
A chicken
shrimp,
shrimp?
and veggie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now tell us how, I guess it's hard to explain because, we think of that as truly Mexican food. And you're from Algeria, so how does that combo get together?
I choose to mix between Spain and Mexico, especially the location.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, location is very neat, like
Oh, yes.
Mexican
Right,
place,
okay.
and I choose what I put the Mexican for lunchtime, especially people
Especially,
doesn't
yes.
have time,
Quick
doesn't
time.
have quick,
Perfect,
grab
perfect.
taco or fajita, and we have a lot of selection of entrees for dinner.
Right.
We serve them to
But
the
again,
lunch.
they can order entrees at lunch, all right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can, even though the menu is quite comprehensive, you can, if you have the time, and not that the dinners take longer, because I was so amazed how quickly they prepare. Now, let's talk about real quickly, because it's almost time for the musician, a few more of the dishes of the entrees. We hit three. So we hit the chicken, we hit the red snapper, and the paella. But I know you have a real good steak. Is it a filet mignon?
Filet mignon, yes.
Filet mignon. What do you do there?
We have filet mignon served with smoky mashed potatoes.
Oh.
Yes, very good.
Smoky
mashed
Wow,
potatoes.
sounds
What a
great, eh?
combination. And the sauce is Madeira sauce.
Madeira.
Yeah, sweetness
That's
from
a real,
the Madeira
for
sauce.
those who don't know, that's a very sweet wine.
Yeah.
Beautiful pairing. That ought to sound great.
Yeah.
Okay, now I also see you have a lamb chop dinner plate.
Yeah.
I didn't see that at all. What's your entree there?
The lamb chops is served with grilled artichokes, baked potatoes with herbs, and grilled tomatoes. And we serve it with sauce poivrade, which is half white wine, half vinegar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very impressive. Well, we need to go back, obviously. And lastly, you have some scallops. Is that right?
Yes,
Is it
we have sea scallops,
Sea scallops
for dinner.
And for the entrees. And
Yeah.
what do you do with those? 'Cause those
Sea
are great.
scallops serves with the nantua sauce. Is like
What's nantua sauce?
Nantua sauce is like shrimp bisque.
Ah.
Yeah. Originally, nantua sauce is crawfish bisque, but I do
Right.
it with shrimp.
Right.
Yeah, and served with the crepe, a purse of crepe stuffed with
Oh, crepe. Oh,
stuffed with vegetables
Uh-huh.
and shrimp, crab meat.
Well, I have to ask you this because you hit up on it. Since, we're in the crawfish capital of the world here, would you maybe later on consider substituting shrimp for crawfish there?
Shrimp for?
Instead of the shrimp in this dish?
Yeah.
Would you be somewhere maybe interested in changing to crawfish at some point or no?
No, I'm happy with the
All right,
shrimp,
okay.
yeah.
I'm just saying, our
Yeah.
people love crawfish.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, not that we don't love shrimp too, but we're going to let you. So you see, folks, he's staying to his tradition, very authentic. All right, so we showed you that here, the name of the restaurant, we've been so remiss, is Fiesta Bistro. It's on Carrollton, right off of the corner, South Carrollton, of Jeanette. Right next to the Lebanon Cafe, which used to occupy this restaurant before it got so overpowering and moved into a much larger quarters. So they share the same banquette. As you notice, there's beautiful tables outside. So there's outside dining with the umbrellas to make it so authentic, so European looking. Also the window double, and everybody loves to sit at those window seats in the front so they can look outside, see the walkers, the diners, and also the fabulous homes as well as the streetcars. Beautiful banquet seating, other tables, really, really neat. And that's holding 70 people. The key here, folks, besides the authenticity of both the Spanish and the Mexican food, is their hours. Again, if you missed it earlier, they're open first of all, they're open 7 days a week. That's really a killer for him. But Monday through Saturday, they're open from 11 to 11. That is a long, long day. So for you late nighters on Friday night or whatever, if you go to the movie or something, if you get that first movie, you still have plenty of time to come and get a fabulous meal. Or on Sunday from noon to 10. Is that right? Yes. Noon to 10. So again, late hours on a Sunday, that's hard to find here in our city. We want you to give him a try. Chef Mandy would be so happy. He's got a great bunch of ladies working for him with regard to wait staff. I think you'll find them most hospitable, and will explain any of these dishes that may be new to you, even though they've been around historically for years, because there's such a historical tradition of this cuisine. But now, as we mentioned, we want to bring back to accompany this fabulous food the beautiful sounds of the group that we had on last week by the name, two brothers from Guatemala named Julio and Cesar. And if I remember correctly, the name of this song, if they're doing it in the same order, is Mi Barca, on my boat. And we're going to hear some vocals this time, so that's even important. So let's pay attention. Let's listen closely to Julio and Cesar.
vapor del alma.
That was Mi Barca, or My Boat, by the two Guatemalan brothers, Julio and Cesar. They're sweeping New Orleans from the Spanish community we have now. They're filtering over, so we're all getting a great listening pleasure hearing them here on the show, as well as their appearances around town. Now today we are, if you didn't miss the beginning of the show, we have a great new restaurant, Fiesta Bistro, which is a combination of truly authentic Spanish and Mexican food. We've been emphasizing more of the Spanish, but we touch slightly on the Mexican, which again you can have at any time, lunch or dinner, but we just put more emphasis on the Spanish since that's much limited in our community. Okay, we're speaking to Chef MANNY FIDUL, originally from Algeria, and we're going to touch on some of his great desserts. I think we got two of them lined up for you. You'll recognize the first one, as it's so traditional in New Orleans, but it's really weird that this was one of the best creme brulees that we've had in the city. It was just perfect. Take a look at it. It looks normal like everyone else. It was truly the consistency, the flavor at the top, and ice cold. I mean, just not ice frozen. Perfect chilled below. It's so hard because to try and scorch that top, all the sugar or whatever is used at the top, and still keep below cold is very difficult job. Doesn't sound like much, but it sure is. It always, that heat filters down. Here it did and was separate, and really, what a great combination of the two. So tell us a little bit about it, Chef, how you were able to really perfect this dish.
You can do whatever you want with creme brulee. A lot of people, they add so many flavors and they change it. I just keep it too classic. I keep it simple with vanilla flavor. Vanilla flavor, that's it. Egg yolk and cream. And we do it like almost every day freshly. Keep it in the fridge overnight, and then we burn it.
Oh, but you've got it perfect that that burn doesn't seep down below that initial level.
Yeah.
You know, whereas most of the others, there's part of it, there's a layer of warm or medium cool before you get some cold at the bottom. You're able to get that entire part below the surface, the proper temperature it should be. So, folks, if you like creme brulee, and I know that's saying a lot because we're not talking about one of our best French restaurants, but at the same time, I think if it's as good as what we had the other day, you're going to want to definitely try it at all times. Now, the other thing, a Spanish restaurant has to have flan. As we all know, that is one of the credos in Spanish desserts. He's taken it, and instead of going like we did with creme brulee, taking it pure, he's added a flavor, something we don't see that much, and it's called tamarind flan. And let's take a look at that and tell us what tamarind flan is. Beautiful look, looks like mini pancakes here, but totally not that. Now tell us all about this, please, because the audience is not familiar with tamarind. Excuse me.
Tamarind is a dry fruit, got a lot of sourness flavor to it.
Very sour, and that is what's in the center of the flan. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you can actually eat that and really see the different taste. Go ahead.
Yeah, from the sweetness of the flan, you combine it with the sourness of the tamarind. Is a perfect combination. Cooked with the flan and served very, very chilled.
Yeah. It has a very citrus flavor for those. So you can say, well, because we had, and most of our audience wants to know. I mean, I won't say orange. It's not heavy orange. It's not lemon, but it's definitely citrus. It maybe has a little bit of those hints of it, but no definite taste there. But picks together that real sour fruit with the sweetness of the flan. You've got truly a winner. So, folks, you've got a big decision here to make. So the best thing to do is make sure you have more than one diner, or you can eat more than one dessert, and try both, because we're talking about two of the best. I know he has some other things on desserts, but these are his pride and joy. He's putting these out consistently for you at great taste levels. Okay, now the only thing we have to talk about left is the beverages. Right now, Chef, I don't think we said in the beginning, Chef said that the restaurant's only been open a month. We're in there as early as we can to these restaurants to bring them to you so you can get out there right now, especially in our present state, get out there and eat instead of trying to prepare meals at home with all the nightmare we have in rebuilding our lives. So at the present time, he is still waiting for his license to be approved. But his plans are to have, he's got a beautiful bar in the back room. His plans are to have a full line of beverages. Until such time as the license is approved, he does extend, like all of our other hospitable restaurants, a chance for you to bring, if you care to bring a bottle of wine. He certainly would not mind at all. But tell us one of the other things that you're going to have besides the beers, the wines. You're going to have a truly classic Spanish drink that really goes with a lot of these dishes, especially like the paella. What are you going to do there for us?
Yeah, we're going to have a homemade sangria.
Homemade sangria, folks. Now that is hard to find. I mean, nowadays I can't believe they even have it bottled up. You can buy it. It must be awful. Truly, for those who not know what homemade sangria is, tell us what sangria is. It's fabulous. Red wine.
Yeah, good red wine mixed with fresh fruits.
Which ones do you put in? I know obviously oranges, lemons.
No, we put apples.
Apples, of course, for the crunch.
Cinnamon stick.
Cinnamon stick.
And strawberries.
Strawberry.
Yeah.
No other fruit.
No.
You don't put any orange slices, anything.
No.
You decorate it with orange, no?
Yeah, but
okay.
That's what I put.
But you decorate with an orange slice?
Yeah.
Well, I always squeeze my orange to add another flavor. But again, he's using the problem with sangria homemade is not a problem, but too many people will take the lowest grade of wine, red wine, table wine that maybe isn't good, and try and dress it up. So it really doesn't always work. He's got a good balance in his recipe to use a medium grade red wine, and the strawberries, which is really I haven't tasted it yet, but I heard it's very good. So the strawberries ought to be really a nice treat. He's got good coffees, got everything you want along those lines. So the important thing now is to be patient with him with regard to that. So either bring your own wine until such time as he gets that license, and hopefully the city will come through with that, and the also state at least with the alcohol permit very quickly, because you've got a great place to go now that's open 7 days a week, straight through for us late diners or late lunches. That was going to bring you truly authentic food in a really pretty setting, because you look out, there's so many things you can see at this restaurant, whether you eat outside or not. And we're real pleased to have had Chef MANNY FIDUL, if I get his name right correctly. I hope you'll patronize him. I want to tell you, if you missed the beginning of the show, again, about the programming. As we mentioned, our studio was unfortunately hit by the ravages of Katrina, so we're working with a great and challenged staff who are really doing double duty, but at the same time prohibits presently our live shows. So it'll be hopefully not too distant future where we can bring you much more frequently or back to our normal schedule of restaurant reviews, because we know you're out there and interested in the show, and most importantly into the great restaurants. Don't forget to send us musicians' names. You can always send us restaurants too. If you think you know one before me, even better. You can be my scouts out there. But more importantly is to get us some musicians. We really need to find some talent to bring on to the shows to give them that exposure. So it really is a great opportunity. As you see, they get to do 3 songs. So something that we get a little exposure helps everybody. So what we want to do now is tell you that tell you a little bit of some of the restaurants that we're hopefully bringing up. We originally were going to do this show is with Cochon, with Chef Donald Link, who also with Herb Saint. It's a brand new charcuterie. We're hoping to have them on soon. We've talked to Jackson Alexander's restaurant. We have, let's see if I can remember all of the ones. Alberta's we talked a little bit about, Uptown Magazine. We have a bunch, as I mentioned, of restaurants. And so there's a new barbecue place opening up on Magazine. You know, Magazine's been our restaurant row. It's a takeout barbecue opening June 1st, a day away from here. So in our old site of one of our favorite little places, a great little soul takeout eat-in called Bite Your Tongue. Our good friends had it for years, was on our show, did catering really good. We're hoping that the barbecue place that's taking it over, again, it's going to be takeout, is going to do as well. We're going to be going to taste them later this week to have them on in the future. So don't hesitate. Again, please contact, let us know restaurants, also musicians. And until such time, We're going to say adieu, goodbye, farewell, whatever it is, but come back to us. Meanwhile, we're going to let this great dynamo of Julio and Cesar take it out with a beautiful rendition of Flamenco Malagueña. I think you'll recognize some of this, but with a new twist. So until the next time, I'm Bob Bockelman. We'll see you on Restaurant Review.
chispas doradas al viejo farol de cobre que cabecea en la jarpa. Pero yo sí que lo sé, yo sé dónde está esa barca, medio enterrada en la arena, en una playa olvidada. Pero yo sí que lo sé, yo sé dónde está